Assalamu alaikum everyone. In this episode, I will be interviewing Hina Afsar. Hina is an entrepreneur with a passion for Dawa, currently based in Dubai. She's recognized as a confident senior management professional specializing in managing operations, sales and marketing teams in diverse industries including hospitality, recruitment, real estate and banking. She comes from a strong business development background focusing on improving the customer service experience. Hina is the co-founder of Donate Quran, a registered charity that has to date provided over 350,000 Quran translations to mosques, community centers, Dawa centers, hospitals, schools, hotels, prisons, libraries and homes across the globe. Hina is also managing a food and lifestyle blog and works with local and international charities on various projects. She's also a tour guide for Umrah and Al-Aqsa. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Sister Hina.
Wa alaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, I'm so delighted that we had the opportunity to interview you today. MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair for making the time.
The pleasure is mine.
And Sister Hina, I know you well. I've got to know you over the last couple of years, or actually a year or so. And mashallah, we worked on a couple of different projects together, and I was really impressed by, mashallah, the other work that you've been doing behind the scenes. But for the audience, in your own words, how would you describe yourself in terms of the business work that you've been behind, and also what are your main focuses on at the moment?
Okay, I'd say I'm an entrepreneur. Initially, I was born and bred in London.
Yeah.
I'm now living in Dubai. In London, I came from a banking background. I moved to Dubai and joined real estate. I was running a real estate company. Then I was running my own recruitment company. And then now I'm involved in the hospitality industry, specialising primarily in Umrah and Hajj. I work with a lot of the online travel agencies, etc. So yeah, I mean, that's on the professional front. But more importantly, what I love doing is I am one of the founders of a project called Donate Quran.
Donate Quran, yes, which I have a copy of one in my house as well.
I hope you all have. We are basically distributing Qurans in English translation and Arabic translation, also other languages. We're working on Albanian language at the moment. Globally, worldwide, our stock is distributed. Africa, New Zealand, Australia, Hong Kong, Canada, US, majority of the Dawa stands throughout UK have stock distributed to them from us. We are translating in Sahih International and Quran Project translation. We're doing 3 projects worldwide, so alhamdulillah, that is my little baby, which keeps me smiling.
MashaAllah, yeah, that's amazing. And so you're also involved, I know that you're also involved in the Hajj and Umrah side of things as well.
Yes, I am involved in the Hajj and Umrah industry. I recently worked on some events for an organisation called Hajj People. We did an expo in the London Intercontinental. Our sponsors there were the Ministry of Hajj. I work a lot closely with your core group, Millennium Hotels, majority of the hotel groups in Makkah and Medina. I have a network of a lot of people in that industry. I work with the UK travel agents and globally, internationally, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Nigeria, Sudan, Indonesia. So based in Dubai allows me to work with other countries too. So yeah, I mean, Hajj and Umrah I got involved with naturally, purely because I was in the Dawa industry. And something that I just wanted to get involved in purely because I love that industry.
MashaAllah. And you recently just come back from Al-Aqsa where you took a few, a big group with you.
I joined one of the tour operators, Ibadah Tours. And first time I made this journey actually, Alhamdulillah, I've been to Masjid al-Haram and Masjid al-Nabi many times, and I just felt this was a trip I needed to do. And one of the tour operators asked me to join them as the female guide, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing, and I'm so glad that I've actually managed to make that trip.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So, Hina, you've you must have come across so many challenges to date, and you've been in so many different streams. In your career, you went from banking, and then you went into the Dawa scene. May I ask you, what inspired you to leave a very comfortable, very well-paid profession in the banking world into the more Dawa-focused organization that you've been working behind now?
See, I didn't actually leave banking. I left when I left the UK, and I went into real estate, and then I was running my own recruitment company. The change for me came when I started running my own recruitment company. At the time, my father was diagnosed with an illness called motor neuron disease. And I'd never faced something like that, where someone so close to me, someone who I loved so dearly, actually got sick. And then he was diagnosed end of life. So it was a journey which I wasn't familiar with. It was a changing point in my life. Also, around the same time, the time that I decided to perform Hajj, my father's health was declining, and I found myself going backwards and forwards from Dubai to London because my parents are based in London. I was traveling here like every few weeks, so I had a team of 6 staff working for me, and I couldn't actually run the business. My focus wasn't there, and that whole sort of attachment with dunya, no longer seemed important because this was something that I had no control over. The person who I loved so dearly, he was on that journey to leave us. So everything else went out the window. So at that time, I decided to sort of fold up my company and just sort of focus on spending time with my father and my family. And also at the same time, I was having to face death in itself. Which was very frightening for me. It was very, very frightening for me, and understanding what's going to happen to your loved one, and also thinking that we are all going to go through that. So I started Islamic classes. I joined an Islamic institute called Al-Huda in Dubai, and I was taught by a sister Iman. From the first day I walked into that class till today, it changed my life. It really helped me in dealing with what I was dealing with outside the classroom, as in my relationship with my family, my relationship with Allah. And that's how the project, everything after that has been a result of a fear factor in losing someone you love and not knowing your akhirah, and getting closer to Allah. And it's suddenly now become my main focus in life.
MashaAllah, may Allah accept it and continue to put barakah in everything you do. Hina, you've gone through so many different challenges, I'm sure, in your journey. What do you feel has been your greatest challenge to date, and how did you overcome this?
I think my greatest challenge was people accepting me. I went from a complete different person. Well, I was always the same person, but the image changed. You find, and most females will sort of relate to this. Suddenly, the transition you have from not wearing hijab and suddenly wearing hijab, and not dressing that particular way and then dressing modestly. And the first people that begin to judge you are the closest people to you, be it your partners, be it your siblings, be it your parents, be it your close friends. I felt that was a challenge initially, but alhamdulillah, I've been really confident in every stage of my life. So for me, it was just the next phase of my life. And I remember I used to make dua at that same time that, Allah, surround me by those who have love for you and increase me in love for you also. And I was in Dubai at that time, and suddenly nearly all the friends that I had suddenly, slowly left Dubai. And I was surrounded by a whole group of different people, a whole different surroundings. So for example, what normally would have been your weekend became completely different. And there were a lot more sisters from the Islamic centers who I made friends with. And you found that these people are actually were the type of people who never judged you, never asked you your past, never asked what you did before. They were so much more accepting, and they were so loving, and everything that you were learning, it just felt sort of natural. I mean, like I said, with me, I felt my own family looking at me thinking, you know what, is this a temporary thing that she's going through?
Like a phase.
You know, like, you know, everybody goes through hardship, and suddenly you see people who suddenly they start praying. With me, even before that, I was praying. How it changed me in the praying factor, it made me more conscious in reading my salahs on time. It made me more conscious of giving zakat on time, giving the correct amount of zakat, of knowing Allah is watching me at all times, making me more conscious on all my actions. So, I mean, that was a challenge. It was a transition I went through. Alhamdulillah, you know, and it wasn't easy. You know, I feel when you try to do something right, shaitan will always be there, always try and divert you. But alhamdulillah.
But you overcame with sabr and shukr.
Alhamdulillah, you know, I can't thank Allah enough. There's been times where I've spent nights praying tahajjud, and the next day I felt like I was given answers. When you only turn to him, when he's the only person that can answer you anyway, and he shows it to you, he really does. There's been times I've walked into lectures and the teacher's talking about something, and I think I'm the only person in that class, and this is all about me. But then I heard the hadith that lecture was written, that conversation or that subject was going to happen that day. Allah ordained for you to make those footsteps, to attend that class, to hear that, because it's important that you hear that. And it's not applicable for anyone else. I mean, sometimes you're sitting there in lectures and you're thinking that, oh, this could be my partner, or this could be my sister, or this is my friend. She's like, no, forget that. It's not about them. This is about you. And
you choose the people to be in the
and the journey, and unfortunately, you know, or fortunately, we all come alone, we're all going to go alone. And as much as we need to spread Dawa, which is a very important thing we all need to do as Muslims, we also need to focus on ourselves, and we need to judge ourselves, and we need to stop judging each other. You know, I have friends from all over the world, based in Dubai. I have friends that I've met from all over the world. We can't judge each other, we can only guide each other. And the best thing we can do for each other, if we feel that our friend or our family member is not on the right path, and you feel when you've tried to explain to them you can't help them, is pray for them. Yeah. You know, the most powerful tool we have as Muslims is to pray for each other.
Pray for each other.
So, I mean, alhamdulillah, that was a transition. Now I'm here, and alhamdulillah, I feel firm now. I mean, obviously every day is a learning curve, and it's never going to stop.
Continuous learning.
Yeah, and we're never too old. We're never too old.
Definitely, completely resonate with that, mashallah. So we talked about your greatest challenges to date, and mashallah, how you overcome them. Of course, Deen has played a big part in your life for you to overcome those challenges. You know, you've achieved quite a significant amount of milestones in your life, and mashallah, you've done amazing stuff. What would you say has been your greatest achievement to date that's close to your heart?
Donate Quran. I would say donate Quran, because when I initially started it was a dream. The way it started is, as I said, my father was ill and people were visiting our house. And as you know, in our religion, if someone's sick, you know, that people will come there because they want the ajr. So I was like, you know, people are coming through the door, let's do something better. And I came across a copy of Quran Project's translation of the Quran, which helped me to prepare for my journey for Hajj. At the same time, I was also watching, I don't know if you've heard of it, a series called Omar series.
I have, I watched it.
Yeah, and I was reading the Quran translation, I was watching the series. My dad was sick as well, and everything just fell into place. And I wanted more people to understand the Quran. It took me this many years to understand the Quran. For years I kept picking it up, putting it down, picking it up, putting it down. And I realized, Allah likes those who keep coming back to Him, right? And sometimes the same sentence that you've tried to read so many times might not mean anything, but this one time it's speaking to you. And it spoke to me. And it spoke to me the year that I was preparing for Hajj. And during the time I was reading the Quran in translation, one of the verses came right in front of me where it said that, up until the age of 40, you're under your parents' guardianship. Okay, after that, you're by yourself, basically. And I felt like that was speaking to me, and it was the year that I was preparing to go Hajj, and I was reaching my 40th birthday. And I thought, this is my time. This is my last chance. This is Allah speaking to me. This is my last chance, to do something about my life. And I felt that was a warning, and that's when Donate Quran started. I wanted people around me all over the world who couldn't get access to the Quran. For whatever reason, I wanted to reach out to them. Yeah. And one of my friends was once in my house at the same time, and he was mentioning in UK that some of the Dawa stands, they charge to give you a copy of the Quran. And I was like, why? They said they give it free to non-Muslims and they don't give it free to Muslims. And I realized we Muslims sometimes have less knowledge than you Muslims. So why does everybody not deserve to read this divine book? So then that's how it started. So it was a project that I wanted to get into. Then I got some partners involved. And then we started distributing, and slowly, the project's just, alhamdulillah, grown. And last year, 2019, alhamdulillah, was our best year. We've distributed up to 220,000 Qurans last year alone.
Mashallah.
So, but there's been times in this project where doors have closed and I don't know which way to turn. And there's been times where I've nearly gave up, because when people think when you go into Dawa, it's just so easy. You face so many obstacles, funding, approval and translations of the Quran. When you're working with different countries, I live in the Middle East, I work with the Awqaf in Dubai, in Kuwait, in Saudi. There's different organizations, different school of thoughts. You face all these issues where some people don't like that translation or don't approve that translation. So in Dawa, there's always different opinions.
Yeah.
But alhamdulillah, it just kept me going. It just kept me going.
Mashallah.
And here I am.
That's a huge achievement, mashallah. Well accepted, and I must
say, it's not down to me. It's down to Allah, and it's down to my partners who are involved in this project. They really have been the backbone, and I must thank them also. But Allah has put them there also, and may Allah, keep us sincere in doing this project for His sake.
Ameen. So we talked about your challenges, we talked about your greatest achievement to date. At all stages of our lives, we have different role models who inspire us, empower us, people who leave a mark with us. And we have different role models. Who has been your most prevalent role model? Who has been Hina's most prevalent role model to date?
Female?
Anyone that comes to your mind that you feel is someone who's made a significant impact on your outlook?
My teacher in Dubai, Sister Imam, I've tried to learn about religion in various places, various Islamic centers, but I don't know why, but I do know why. She's so humble in the way she explains things to us. And I think a lot of people have their role models as their teacher. Like, I'm sure your role model is Mufti Main, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I love him to bits, right, in the sense that I love the way he explains things, and I've met him also in Dubai. People like that, they inspire me. Because the way they teach knowledge, is so important. And I think a lot of people don't recognize that. Like, I could be sat in an institute and I could be listening to a talk, but purely by the way the person's talking, I won't register it.
Yeah.
It's so important in our religion, in our Dawa industry, that we lead as examples. And my teacher, Sister Iman, in Al Salam Center in Dubai, absolutely amazing in everything in terms of the way a woman should be. It's not just obviously the way a woman represents herself in Islam. And people think it's, wearing the niqab and the scarf or whatever. No, it's not just that. It's the way you physically look, your hygiene, the way you talk to each other, the type of conversations you have, the way you behave, the examples you are as a woman who's married, the examples you are as a daughter, the examples you are as a sister, all these aspects, as a mother, the way you represent yourself. As a woman, I would say was Sister Iman in Dubai. As a man, I have to agree with you. I think Mufti Menk is a really good example.
Oh, absolutely. I can totally
see. Good role model. I think, the way he teaches people, the way he talks.
It's very emotionally intelligent, very non-judgmental, very broad-minded, isn't he? Mashallah. Allah preserve him and Sister Iman and all those great people, mashallah, who had an impact on our lives. If you could go back to I love asking this question, if you could go back to your former 18-year-old self, what would you advise her?
Listen to your parents.
Interesting. Yeah, mashallah.
I speak from experience. I don't have my father is no longer in this world. Alhamdulillah, my mother is, and I have to say, back then I was one of probably the rebel child, never really listened. But in reality, everything that they said is right. Right? Like, they always advised correct. Your parents don't want that for you. And they see you going down a path and they tell you, I don't think that's right for you, but you still take it. But then you realize you've gone down that path and they were right. And then history changes in the sense there was a time they were looking after you and now there's a time you're looking after them.
Yeah. That's some really good advice, actually. I think a lot of us, including myself, need to
and then you're going to become that with your own children or by yourself or whatever it may be. You're going to get there also, or maybe if Allah takes you before then, that's another story. But, the circle is the same. And, I see it with my sisters and brothers with their children, and it will go on and on and on. And I know it's hard to hear it, but, I think the truth is, no one will love you more than them.
Except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right?
Yeah, His love is much more than the mother.
This is so true, what you just said. It really strikes a chord and something that I certainly need to remind myself of as well. I'm sure a lot of the audience as well would be. It's a good reminder for all of us. At the moment, as you know, we've talked about this, that mental health and mindfulness is on the top of a lot of people, organization and everyone's tongue, because it's just a prevalent issue at the moment in community and society, and having a massive effect on people's lives. So my question to you is, how do you deal with stress? What's your stress mechanism? What's Hina's way of dealing with stress?
Okay, the first question I ask myself first, and then obviously people who ask me when they're going through calamities, do you read your salah? And I say that out of experience. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set out a few rules. I say few because it's quite easy. Few rules for all of us to do. Okay? He's promised us certain things as a result of certain things that we do Jannah. He's promised us Jannah if we do these things. One after Tawheed is Salah. Unfortunately, human being, we become lazy. Shaitan gets to us. We don't read our Salahs on time, or we don't read them, or we just don't read them on time, or they're not a priority in our life. Salah is key. And reading the Quran. Every single, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Shifa'in Quran. Ruqya, what is Ruqya? Ruqya is a certain ayats from the Quran that can cure you.
Yeah.
Okay? We run to doctors, we run to other people to give us advice, right? The one who can heal us is there.
To go to the source.
Go and do wudu, get on that prayer mat and pray your heart out. Ask him. There's nothing you can't ask him. Ask him. Salah is key. For me personally, everybody goes through ups and downs. And it's because of those downs I got closer to him. And I say that proudly. Because had that not happened, maybe I would have still been on a wrong path. I came back to him because of calamities, because of pain, because of hardship. And I'm glad for all of those hardships. And I think it's also knowing that no one can harm you unless he allows.
Yes.
Right? Knowing that. Knowing no one can take from you unless he allows. Right? In today's society, everybody's crying over their financial situation. Right? And always comparing themselves to others. Right? Why are you comparing yourself to others? When what is written for you will come to you. What has to go for you, has to go from you. And I know in some circumstances it's hard, especially when we're not talking about monetary things, when we're talking about losses. Losses in terms of, mothers seeing their children pass away and stuff like that. It's hard. It's hard to sort of, understand when they're going through something like that, or when you've lost a parent, to understand this is Qadar Allah. It's really, you have to understand that this is what's best for you and what's best for them. It's a very difficult situation for you to actually realise that, this has to happen. And, a lot of people go through depression. But the only way out of that depression is Salah, is the Quran, speak to Allah. For me personally, what's helped me is Tahajjud. And it changed my life. I really have felt there's been times when I've prayed, but you can't pray Tahajjud and not pray your Salahs. I'm not saying, everybody start praying Tahajjud. You have to pray your Salahs, you have to give your zakat, you have to keep your fast. If you're not doing them and then you just pray Tahajjud, I don't want to say what's the point, Allah knows best. Every little deed that you do is good. But Tahajjud, if you're doing your salahs and you're doing all your fasts and you're doing your zakat, you want to go that extra mile, pray Tahajjud.
I'm sure it's really good advice, and I'm sure a lot of the audience, will be able to resonate with that powerful advice, mashallah. What is everyone wants to leave a legacy, right? So everyone wants to leave some sort of legacy, something positive as a mark before we return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the impact that you want to have in this dunya? What do you want people to remember you for? What are you passionate about in terms of the impact you want to make in the world?
I want people to remember me as someone who made a change and ran back to Allah. More importantly, I want Allah to know me as someone who's sincere. More importantly than this dunya. For me personally, it's nice to be respected in this dunya. But if you're only ever doing something for dunya, it's not sincere. You have to do it for the sake of Allah. Yeah. So in terms of how I want people to remember me, just respect. Just respect. I don't want to be someone who's taken something from someone.
It's very authentic.
Yeah, I just want to be that person who's genuine. If I have hurt someone, I apologize to them sincerely. I'm not always correct in what I say. I'm not always perfect in my actions, but someone who's trying. someone who is conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me, and if I do make mistakes, try and rectify. But also someone who makes people happy. You know, I don't want to be that person in a room that people remember that depresses people or negative energy. I'd like to be positive energy. I feel like I am that person. Sometimes I'm in a room and I'm the person that's smiling and laughing, and you know, people are comfortable in my surroundings. I'd like to think.
Absolutely.
But respected for the right reasons.
Inshallah. So, Hina, a lot of the audience watching would love to get in touch with you. What is your preferred method for the audience to get in touch with you, and how can they find you online?
I'm on Instagram, although I used to run a food blog, but I kind of took a back step from that. But I have an Instagram account, which is not really that active, but I'm looking to sort of like grow that. I'm on Instagram under Hina Afsar.
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Because I like to see, I'm on Facebook, but that's more for sort of like family and friends.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, I think, on a professional front, LinkedIn. I think it's a more respected tool in terms of the professional environment.
Yeah.
But on a personal level, I'd say Facebook or Instagram.
Perfect. Jazakallah khair so much for making the time. It was such a pleasure to interview you.
Thank you.
Inshallah, may Allah continue to bless you with all the beautiful projects that you're involved in, and add barakah in everything that you get involved in, and bless your loved ones.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the interview. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you're alerted as we upload more inspirational Muslim videos.